Mahendravaram under the guidance of IQAC. In collaboration with the PG and Research Department of English, Tirukonjepur Government Arts College, Tamil Nadu, and in association with Venkatstein, an Academy of Excellence, along with our academic and industry partners. As we arrive at the concluding day of this intellectual enriching journey, we reflect on the insightful deliberations and meaningful discussions that have marked the past 2 days. As we continue today, let us remember that Shakespeare's works remain ever evolving through our interpretations. In this spirit, we recall there is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. It is an act of critical rethinking that defines our conference. We now begin the first session of the day. It is my great privilege to introduce Professor Praveen Kumar Anshuman, Professor of English at Kriori Mal College, University of Delhi. An alumnus of Banaras Hindu University, Professor Anshuman is a distinguished bilingual writer in Hindi and English. As a passionate bibliophile and a celebrated literary figure known as Kavi Hruday and P.K. Bawla. He has authored and edited 21 books, including critical works, translations, and poetic anthologies. His remarkable scholarship includes an extensive work on the Mahabharata, reflecting his deep engagement with Indian classical literature. His core academic interests lie in Indian classical literature and Dalit studies, with significant contributions such as The Famished Gods, Depressed Deities, and Casting Out the Caste. He has also proposed the innovative critical framework, the theory of RAM, resettling all misinterpretations. A prolific literary creator, he holds Harvard World Records for extraordinary achievements in poetry and creative writing. Today, Sir will be speaking on not just me too, but you too, understanding the gendered in Shakespeare's male and female characters. Let us warmly welcome Professor Praveen Kumar, sir. Over to you, sir, now.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for this nice introduction. Respected chair, esteemed organizers, distinguished scholars, and dear participants, good morning. It's both an honor and a deeply meaningful privilege for me to be here today addressing such a vibrant and intellectually engaged gathering, as Madam has conspicuously stated the fact that we are on the concluding day. And we have been engaging with the participants since 23rd April, the birthday of the great Shakespeare. So at the very outset, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizing institutions, the Department of English of the there's the IQAC team and Department of English SKVT Government Degree College, Raj Mahendravaram, East Godavari, Andhra Pradesh, and PG and Research Department of English, Tirukonjepur Government Arts College, Tamil Nadu, and all those who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this international conference possible. You know that academic events of this scale and seriousness do not happen accidentally. They are, in fact, the result of vision, commitment, and shared belief in the value of dialogue. I truly appreciate being invited to be a part of this conversation. What makes this occasion even more special to me is its symbolic timing. we gather. Mine is the third day, but in fact, if we take this conference holistically, so we have actually started this on the birthday of the great Shakespeare, in remembrance of him, in celebration of who he was and what he wrote, whose birth in 1564 continues to resonate across centuries. So, as we stand here in 2026, we are marking around 462 years, I think, of Shakespeare's enduring presence in our intellectual and cultural lives. And that actually means something. It means something. 400 means 4 centuries. Years later, Shakespeare, in fact, is not behind us. If we try to grow into, and which we have already been doing, and the world is still amazed with the purpose that he has created, and the depth with which Shakespeare has dealt with different emotions, different instincts inside human personality is not bereft from human reach. And all that clearly tells us that he is not behind us. No way. Rather, we can also say that he is always behind us, not chasing, but guiding, but pushing. And in that sense, it is axiomatically to be understood that he is always ahead of us. So, this is statement, I believe, is not merely rhetorical, it reflects a profound truth about Shakespeare's continuing relevance. Literature in its highest form does not, in fact, belong to a single time. It travels, it transforms, and redefines itself with each generation. Shakespeare's works have, in fact, survived, we know, not because they are fixed monuments of the past, but because they are living tests. They are open, they are dynamic, they are constantly living and inviting people for interpretation and interpretation, interpretation after interpretation. So Shakespeare is a living entity that actually means that his every word, his every thought in the overviews that he has successfully been able to carve out for us is animating, is vital, and it accentuates on us to think more and more. And every day he uh, comes alive in a more uh, cataclysmic way, in a more relevant way. So today's seminar on the topic gender, uh, power, and patriarchy, re-examining Shakespeare's women in MeToo era is very, very, very significant. Uh, the one who would have selected this topic uh, must have been a visionary uh, because in the title, the phrase "Me Too" era speaks much about his reason. Uh, it actually stands as a testament to that vitality. So to revisit Shakespeare in the present moment uh, is not simply to look back, is not just uh, trying to passively review all that Shakespeare has uh, talked about in his plays, but it is to engage in a dialogue between the past and present. That we remember what T.S. Eliot has said uh, about the present and presentness of present and pastness of past, how past is present in the present. So Shakespeare, despite being in the past, is very much present because he is living through his text. So we are not just here to speak or to repeat what has already been said about him. We are here to interrogate, to ask new questions, questions shaped by our contemporary realities. And why contemporary realities? Because the very title suggests about the time that we live in with a specificity, and that specificity has been defined by the phrase Me Too era. Questions which our social concerns have shaped and our evolving intellectual frameworks have also posited. So perhaps this is the greatest tribute we can offer to Shakespeare, not just admiration, but interrogation, not just celebration, but critical engagement. So as I begin my talk, uh, I would like to acknowledge the diversity of the audience, the teachers, the researchers, the scholars, and students. And I think each bringing their own perspectives and experiences. So it is this diversity that enriches academic discourse, allowing ideas not only to be presented, but to be challenged, to be refined, to be redefined, and expanded thus. So I stand here today not to present a final verdict or a definitive reading, which in fact is not possible, of Shakespeare, but to share a line of thought, one that emerges from both engagement and questioning. My attempt is to enter into a conversation with Shakespeare, with the theme of this seminar, and with all of you present here, because ultimately, a seminar is not a monologue, it's a dialogue. So, with this spirit of dialogue, I now move toward the central theme of the conference, which opens up a deeply significant and urgent area of discussion in our times. So let us try to understand the key words. Now, uh, moving from a formal opening into the intellectual core of this gathering, it becomes essential to carefully reflect upon the essential word or word phrases of this conference. Weekends condense as it has been condensed already into gender, power, patriarchy, and trying to assess all these things in the context of women present in Shakespeare's oeuvre, especially with respect to the Me Too era. So at first, you find that in the first glance, it appears to be centered uh, mostly on or holistically, we can say, on Shakespeare's female characters. Uh, However, if we look more closely with a microscopic vision, we realize that it's not merely about uh, women, it is actually about structures. And now we need to think about what those structures are. Actually, these structures are the structures of power. These structures are the structures of uh, representation. These structures are the structures of interpretation. So it's about how gender is constructed, how authority is distributed, how silence and voices are negotiated within cultural frameworks. So we need to ponder, we need to meditate on these dimensions alongside what the the tagline of the conference proposes, in which it appears that we are simply focusing on the woman portrayed by Shakespeare in his works. It is not just so simple, it actually opens the canvas, it just opens the firmament. And alongside, you see the inclusion of the MeToo era in the theme is particularly very significant. It immediately brings the discussion out of the purely literary domain and places it uh, within a living, evolving socio-political context. Me Too is not just a movement, it's a movement of rupture. It's a movement that has disrupted long standing patterns of silence. It has challenged the normalization of inequality and abuse. So, what Me Too has done fundamentally is to redefine listening. Doesn't it appear to be so very important in the context of what has been predominant in earlier phases of life? Means we can say the 21st century or 20th century, but using a specific term, and that too, Me Too era makes a difference, which actually talks about the weight the conference has. So, do we not know that for centuries, narratives of power were often told uh, from positions of authority? It was predominantly male, it has been institutional and dominant. The voices of the other side, specifically women, when present, were frequently mediated. They were filtered out, and very many times they were dismissed. So, Me Too altered uh, this dynamic. It insisted that lived experiences must be acknowledged, that testimony carries the weight, that silence is not neutrality, it is complicity. Is it not something which is very grave in nature to think? It is. You must think about it. Now, when we bring this consciousness of not allowing yourself to be silenced, or the consciousness of asserting oneself into the study of Shakespeare's works, so something very interesting seems to happen. What does that happen? Actually, we are then no longer reading Shakespeare in isolation, which most of the time we in fact do not do. But with the theme and the key words, the phrase inserted, it makes the reading so more important. We are reading him through a lens sharpened by contemporary awareness. This is the crux of the tagline. This does not mean that we impose modern ideas onto early modern texts in a simplistic way. This is not like that. Then what it is like? It actually likes, or it actually means that we allow our present concerns to open up new possibilities of interpretation. So, in this sense, if you observe and try to understand it uh, with precision, then you will find that it is inviting uh, us to interrogate a series of questions. So, what those questions are likely to be is very important. And what could they be like? How are women represented in Shakespeare's plays? In what ways are they empowered? And in what ways are they constrained? Because, you remember Hamlet's Ophelia, the girlfriend of Hamlet. And Shakespeare has been blamed to have discarded the entity of a female character, which can be contested as well, because the feminists have uh, blamed Shakespeare to have marginalized many characters, including many female characters. But it can be contested and talking about. So other questions could be like, how do structures of patriarchy operate within these texts? And most importantly, how do uh, we as readers today reinterpret these representations in the light of contemporary gender discourse? So all these are the some of the questions I have uh, opened up before you in order to uh, let your mind get into this. So let's consider the phrase uh, re-examining Shakespeare's woman. So the word re-examining itself is very crucial, because when we select, when the topic of a conference is selected, or even the topic that presenters present in the conference, or the topic with which the speaker speaks, each word counts. It is mosaic like a structure in which nothing can be eliminated. So examining the re-examining itself is very significant. Why it is so very significant? Because it acknowledges that these characters have already been studied extensively in a much elaborate way, but it also suggests that previous readings may not have been adequate enough. Or we can say they were incomplete, they were limited, or shaped by the different notions of their times. And sometimes those notions are based on the prejudices or the biases people have, which is also very natural to be there with people or scholars. But they are there. So the the scope for further study and the scope to re-examine always is there. It is, in fact, Shakespeare's view, we can say, seems to be inexhaustible in that sense. So, for a long time, Shakespeare's female characters were often read within traditional frameworks. And what is this traditional framework is also to be thought about. A woman as virtuous or fallen, like, or we can think whether she is obedient or disobedient. These are binary, traditional binaries. Virtuous, fallen, obedient, disobedient. She is ideal or flawed. So such binary classifications, while being convenient, tend to simplify the richness of the characters Shakespeare has portrayed. But this actually happens. There, it matters a lot. This classification, sorry, because they reduce the complexity into categories. Uh, Character dealing in a categorized manner, uh, or as a complex phenomenon. They too open diametrically opposite yardsticks, going into two different directions. Categories, in fact, limit the character, and complexity is a phenomenon in which the scope is open. So, however, in the context of MeToo era, these binaries, uh, they are actually breaking themselves. So, for instance, take the characters of Desdemona and Ophelia I just referred. So think also about the earlier uh, repercussions and earlier understanding of these characters. The earlier readings might have emphasized their innocence and passivity. Passivity is also a very important word which has been attached with these characters. But today uh, we are forced, we are compelled to interrogate like what forms of agency do they possess? How are their voices controlled or interpreted, or how these voices are interrupted as well? What does their silence signify? Do they signify as mere submissions? Or do they signify as resistance? Or we can think of some other more complexities, more complex possibilities. Can we think of that? So these opening or vessels uh, indicates that the these characters, the female characters portrayed by Shakespeare, are open to further interpretations. So similarly, let's also talk about one of the most famous uh, female characters in Shakespeare's works. Though Shakespeare did not bother about to name her, she is known as the wife of Macbeth, so that is Lady Macbeth. The question is no longer simply whether she is evil or ambitious. In place of this, we can try to begin to ask, what does her ambition reveal about gender limitations? Why must she invoke the idea of being unsexed in order to access power? What does this tell us about the relationship between gender and authority? So you see the uh, the interrogations, the re-examination uh, actually encourages us to move uh, from judgment to inquiry, from classification to exploration. But there is another dimension as well, and that is equally important, and that is the theme does not speak of gender, it also foregrounds power and patriarchy. The patriarchy in this context is not merely the dominance of men over women. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
There is
Sir,
some.
sir, is there any PPT, sir?
Hello?
Is there any PPT, sir?
No, no, just points.
Okay, okay, sir.
Uh,
It's a discourse. It's okay, sir.
uh. Some problems.
Oh, sir, please proceed, sir. Praveen sir? Venkat sir, please ask sir to join. I think he had technical glitch.
Hello, sir. Praveen sir. Hello.
Sir, SARS call was disconnected, sir.
I am connecting.
Okay, sir.
Am I visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, seems.
Yes, sir. It is visible and audible. Please continue, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, again, SARS screen was disconnected. Venkat sir.
He is connected.
Yeah, it's there.
Is it fine?
Praveen sir. Yes, sir. You are visible and now audible, sir. Please proceed, sir.
So I'm telling you about patriarchy. So this is where Shakespeare becomes particularly very relevant. His plays do not simply reflect patriarchy; they actually dramatize it. They show how it operates, how it is internalized, how it can sometimes be challenged and destabilized as well. If you remember the play by Thomas Stopper, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. So there, uh, because he was influenced with Elizabethan period, is also influenced with the existentialists, especially Samuel Beckett. So in that sense, what is what Shakespeare seems to be blamed, he just topsy-turvy the whole phenomenon. The characters who sometimes are blamed to have been marginalized by Shakespeare, these marginalized characters he has brought into focus. So no one can uh, bring every aspect, every character, every scene onto the focal point. So in many of Shakespeare's works, you see, power is closely tied to control over land, over bodies, over narratives. So female characters often find themselves negotiating within these constraints. Some conform, some resist, and some find ways to work within the system to their advantage. When we talk about female characters, it's not possible that we do not talk about the male characters at the same time. Male characters are also shaped sometimes by constraints, sometimes by these very structures, expectations of authority, honor, and dominance. They create pressures that lead to conflict, anxiety, and even collapse. So, keeping in view these all points, uh, it is very important to talk about uh, understanding gender, power, patriarchy. How are these categories constructed? How stable are they? Can they be reimagined? The Shakespeare's plays, if you focus on them, most of them, I would in fact suggest that they provide us with a unique space to explore these questions. They do not offer just straightforward answers. They actually open up possibilities. They present characters who conform. They they actually register. They exist somewhere in between also. So talking about Shakespeare's overview, not just as a figure of the past, but as a participant in an ongoing conversation about gender, power, and human identity. It is within this rich and complex framework that I now situate my talk, one that moves from me to towards you to, and ultimately towards a more inclusive understanding of what it means to be human. So let's figure out what is this context that I'm trying to bring in, and that is from me to you to. Not just me too, but you too. The topic that I have actually selected, ungendering the gender in Shakespeare's character. So to begin with, it is important to recognize that Me Too is not merely a movement confined to a particular geography, particular country, particular moment, particular uh, place. It is, in fact, a global awakening. It is a shift from consciousness to more consciousness. It has altered how we perceive bias, we perceive power, we uh, install, we focus on experiences. It has, in fact, brought to the forefront the stories that were long suppressed, that were normalized, that were ignored. So, at its core idea, Me Too is an assertion. It is the declaration of experience. This happens to me. And more importantly, I will no longer remain silent. This is what Me Too is. This assertion is powerful because it transformed the personal into political. What once was considered private suffering becomes a collective reality. So the phrase Me Too creates a chain of recognition, one voice leading to another, forming a community of shared experiences. In fact, if we uh, not just take it into its straitjacketedness that it has primarily focused on the other side, if we try to grope into, then we will see that it is also forming a community of shared experiences. So I engage with this movement in relation to William Shakespeare. I find myself asking a further question, and that question is Me Too the end of conversation or is it the beginning? So while thinking of Me Too asserting individual experiences, it is also implicitly uh, going into the direction of inviting responses. It actually calls for listening, for recognition, for engagement. And this is where my conceptual shift begins from Me Too to you too. And from when what is that? From assertion to recognition. So Me Too, in fact, says that this is my experience, but you too ask, can you recognize yourself in this experience? So this shift is not just meant to dilute the specificity of gendered suffering. On the contrary, it in fact seeks to expand the field of understanding. When you say you two, or when I am stating this as you two, we are not equating all experiences. I, in fact, mean that we are not suggesting that everyone suffers in the same way. We are actually trying to say that we are opening up the possibility that the structures producing suffering, patriarchy, power imbalance, silencing, affect all individuals though differently. And this is where Shakespeare becomes particularly relevant, Shakespeare and the universality of experiences. And we also know that most of his, and especially if we talk about tragedies of Shakespeare, uh, four greatest tragedies of Shakespeare, which have become universally acknowledged, we have become so popular. So, uh, what is the reason behind all of them being so powerfully prevalent? Is the universality of uh, the discussion of the instincts of human beings. One, a text talking about indecisiveness means overthinking. Hamlet, if we take for example. Other, Macbeth talking about the inner mechanism which falls itself within the periphery of ambition. So, in that sense, you find that Shakespeare is dealing with the universal uh, relevance of instinct, human instinct, and that is why his plays seem to be very popular. Another aspect, if we focus on, so we encounter characters who are deeply embedded in gendered structures. So women face restrictions, they face surveillance, they face silencing. But at the same time, men are also shaped, sometimes constrained by expectations of dominance, by control, by authority. So this duality between the male and female are very important. If if we read Shakespeare only through the lens of MeToo, uh, we might focus exclusively on female suffering, and rightly so. But if we extend our reading toward YouTube as well, we begin to see that Shakespeare is also exploring shared human vulnerabilities. So, for instance, if we talk about the experiences of being misunderstood, misheard, and misrepresented of Desdemona, of Ophelia, or of Lady Macbeth, of Cordelia. So Desdemona is not believed, Ophelia is not understood, and Cordelia is misjudged. So along with all these assertions, we are also we also align ourselves towards the male characters, especially Hamlet, who seems to be misunderstood by those around him. Othello, who seems to be manipulated into false belief, and King Lear fails to understand as and is in turn left isolated and broken. So, what emerges here is not a denial of gender differences, but a recognition that emotional and psychological suffering transcends gender boundaries. So, structures are important, which in the very beginning I referred to, not just the individuals. The Me Too movement has taught us that the problem is not only individual behavior, it is systematic. And how it is systematic? It is about how power operates, how voices are valued or dismissed or constrained, and how narratives are constructed. When we apply this insight on the important works of Shakespeare, we actually find that his plays are not simple stories of individuals. They are in fact studies of system. And what is that system? System of patriarchy in Shakespeare, uh, which has been dealt with, is not always visible as a single force. It actually operates at different levels, different strata, like uh, through expectations and through language and through social roles and through silence. So these systems, in fact, do not oppress women. They, in fact, uh, create pressures on men as well to conform, to dominate, to suppress vulnerability. So this is where uh, the counter aspect, the counter dimension of U2 becomes a crucial extension of V2. U2 is as ethical engagement. U2 is not just a theoretical shift; it is actually ethical, which encourages us to ask not only to speak but to listen, and not only to assert but to recognize, and not only to identify difference but to explore. So this in fact transforms the discourse from one isolated testimony to one of the uh, responsibilities which is which disseminate among uh, people and among, from this side to that side. So this is actually precisely applicable what Shakespeare's plays enable us. They create, in fact, spaces where do not simply observe characters, we actually identify them. We question them, and sometimes even uh, uh, we see our own characters, readers feel this reflected in them. So, ungendering, the keyword I have used, is an extension of Me Too. So, in this way, Me Too, in fact, exposes the inequalities within gendered system, and then ungendering questions the rigidity of those systems themselves. So it actually encourages us to uh, make statements and interrogates why are certain traits considered masculine and certain feminine. Why is vulnerability associated with weakness only? Why not as a positive note or as something which gives strength? Why is power associated with masculinity only? So Shakespeare, I argue, does not always answer these questions, but he certainly raises them. These questions popping up through his text, if microscopically observed, uh, are seen, are found, are observed. So his characters often exceed the categories they are placed in. So women display strength, strategy, and intellectual authority as well, and men display doubt, fragility, and emotional depth as well. So, what is the contemporary relevance of these two seemingly diametrically opposite yardsticks, Me Too evolving into You Too, is that discussions around gender are becoming increasingly nuanced. We are beginning to recognize that identity is not fixed, and that experiences are layered, and that binaries are often limiting. So, in this context, uh, the works of Shakespeare with female characters, they actually gain a renewed relevance because they remind us that human experience is complex, but their identity is very fragile. It is it vacillates. It is fluid, and understanding of these characters, in fact, require openness. So, uh, in this way, we can say that we come to a space, we arrive at a space where gender is not erased but understood more deeply, where difference is acknowledged and it is not allowed to divide completely. It is within this space that my reading of Shakespeare situates itself not just as a departure from what the tagline of the seminar prescribes to, but it is an extension, its expansion, and perhaps its philosophical deepening. So, having established uh, the context with what I refer to with the phrase "you too," uh, I actually propose that it is also a powerful tool because it asserts experience. It says this has happened to me and I refuse to remain silent. But you two introducing the different dimension, and that is it is not just an assertion, it is an invitation. It interrogates, can you see yourself here, and can you recognize the structures that shape not only my experience but yours also. So this shifting uh, does not erase difference, it deepens understanding. And why it is ungendering? It is ungendering because second part of my concept, ungendering the gendered, in Shakespeare's male-female characters, it requires careful attention. By ungendering, I do not mean eliminating the gender. I actually mean uh, that uh, may talk about the traits we associate with gender, that is the strength, weakness, ambition, vulnerability, emotion, feeling, rationality as well, are not inherently masculine or feminine. They're human. So social structures, especially the patriarchal ones, assign these traits to specific genders, creating rigid expectations. So, what is the rigid expectations? Their men must be strong, they must be decisive, they must be dominant. Women must be submissive, they must be gentle, they must be obedient, they must be emotional. So, anyone who crosses these boundaries is seen as abnormal, is a threat, is ominous, unstable. So Shakespeare as a site of disruption. So this is where Shakespeare becomes profound and deeply relevant. His play, because his plays repeatedly disrupt these fixed positions. So coming back to some of the important characters like Lady Macbeth, who calls upon spirits to unsex her, she is not simply rejecting femininity. She is in fact exposing the limitations imposed upon her by gender. She recognizes that power is coded as masculine, and therefore, to access power, she must step outside her assigned identity. And what is that identity? What is that identity? Needs to be thought. It reveals that gender itself is a construct, something that can be invoked, that can be altered, that can be scissored, that can even be registered. The male characters and the crisis of masculinity. Now, if we turn to Shakespeare's male characters, so the argument again becomes very interesting. Take, for example, Hamlet. He is expected to be decisive, which he is not. In the entire text, if you find and if you try to analyze his character at every juncture, you will find that he is indecisive. He is an epitome of indecisiveness. He's not able to act the way he's expected to. He's not able to avenge the way he needs to. But instead, he reflects, hesitates, and questions. So, is this weakness, or is it a deeper form of human engagement? Similarly, if we talk about Othello, who is a powerful general, becomes emotionally vulnerable, insecure, and manipulated. So, King Lear loses control, breaks down, and confronts his own fragility. Macbeth, very famous Macbeth, who is a warrior and who wished to be the king, who experiences fear and psychological collapse. All these things happen there with the male characters. But these are not failures of masculinity alone. These are revelation of human complexity, female characters beyond victimhood. At the same time, Shakespeare's female characters resist. What they resist is this simple categorization. So Portia is there, and Rosalind is there, Viola is there. They do not merely exist within gender roles. They perform, manipulate, they transcend them. They adopt disguises, control narratives, and influence outcomes. So when you analyze them and you find all these vulnerabilities as well as assertions as well as resistance. So in that context, what is important is what changes when they distinguish themselves as men, not their intelligence, not their capability. What changes is how society perceives them, and this is very important. So in Shakespeare, we see in fact a pattern. What is that pattern? Women speak but are not heard. Men suffer but are not allowed to express their vulnerability. This is how we uh, perceive things happening in Shakespeare's text. So they are powerful yet vulnerable, dominant yet insecure, obedient yet resistant. They exist uh, in between spaces, you can say. So ungendering as a way of reading is a method of reading, you can say, which lets us know what happens if we read characters beyond gender labels And what happens if we focus on their uh, human conditions, fear, desire, doubt, ambition? When we do all this, something starts shifting. The slide actually shifts the place, and we begin to see connections where we previously saw divisions. And what is that? Is very important. Gender is not the foundation of identity. It is one layer within a much larger human experience. Shakespeare's plays remind us that identity is, in fact, unstable. Whosoever's identity it is always evolving, and it is often contradictory, and it is also, it always invites us to question. So, keeping in view the points referred, we can say that Shakespeare is not simply a writer of male and female characters. He is a dramatist of human experiences in its fullest complexity. So, ungendering the gendered is not about erasing the differences between the two. It is about, in fact, the understanding that difference does not define the limits of uh, uh, being human. So, having laid down the conceptual framework of moving from me too to you too and the idea of ungendering the gendered, I now turn to the heart of Shakespeare's uh, dramatic world, his major characters. Uh, and uh, let's talk about Lady Macbeth. Lady Macbeth, who seems to be an epitome of ambition, and where we find uh, her to be one of the most debated female characters in Shakespeare. But traditionally, she has been read as ambitious, as manipulative, and very many times because she is often taken the as a character representing evil. So even as monostrous. But if we place her within the framework of ungendering, so a different picture emerges. What is that picture? She is, in fact, starts invoking the spirits to unsex her. She is not simply rejecting femininity, she is actually uh, confronting the limitations imposed upon her by a gendered system. She, in fact, recognizes that power, especially political power, is coded as masculine. Her desire, therefore, is not merely for power or for access, it is actually uh, reflected in the breakdown that she has, uh, the sleepwalking scene, her guilt, her fragmentation, all these, what happened with her. It keeps suggesting that the system she attempts to enter does not accommodate her transformation. She is either allowed to remain within the traditional femininity or fully accepted uh, within the masculine authority. So Lady Macbeth, in fact, becomes a tragic figure, uh, not because she is too ambitious, which is generally understood, but because she exposes the uh, instability of gendered boundaries. And so you see that if we talk about masculinity as constructed within the patriarchal systems, so it is also not stable. It also requires the constant reinforcement, and when that reinforcement is threatened, is challenged, so it collapses. So you remember Othello's tragedy. Othello is not just personal, it is also what I refer to structural. King Lear's position in respect to power, authority, human breakdown. He also begins as the embodiment of patriarchal authority, but he is a king and father, a figure of absolute power. He demands obedience. seeks validation and equates love with submission. But as the play grows, as the play progresses, the authority is dismantled. So Lear is stripped of this power, his identity, and eventually his sanity, so-called sanity. What remains is not a king, but a human being. Because he's vulnerable, he's exposed, and painfully aware of his own limitations. So the transformation that Lear comes close to uh, is actually a movement from authority to vulnerability and control to chaos and identity to fragmentation. And these keywords need to be explained further, which can be done later on. So, what changes in this moment is not her intellect, not her capability. What changes is her visibility within power structures. As a man, she is heard. As a woman, she would not be. So, this reveals a crucial point. Gender is not just identity, it is access. Rosalind, if you remember, there is a fluid identity and a playful subversive. And she is a woman playing a man who teaches uh, another man how to love a woman while being that woman herself. So the layering of identities, creating a space where gender becomes fluid, it becomes performative, and it opens to many interpretations, you can say. So, in this context, the women portrayed by Shakespeare are not just merely passive, they are strategic, they are intelligent, they are assertive. And what about men? Men are not merely dominant, they're vulnerable, they're conflicted, they're fragile. Some of the minor characters we can also talk about in this context, but what we have done with the major characters like Lady Macbeth and other ones are adequate. They adequately deal with this thing. But at the same time, I would like to highlight uh, just as the last point uh, the philosophical layer of the Shakespeare's Oviud, which is also very important to bring into light. So let me begin by clarifying something very important. When I speak of ungendering, I'm not suggesting that gender does not exist, nor am I denying that realities of gender-based inequality. What I'm questioning is, in fact, can gender be a fixed category, fully uh, it can fully define the identity, or to put it differently, is being human reductible and reducible to being male or female? So, when from the Shakespeare's philosophical point of view, if we try to analyze this, we find that when we turn to Shakespeare, we find that we realize that this play the plays, major plays that he has talked about, do not operate within the rigid philosophical systems. He actually does not present theories. He creates situations out of which readers are able to negotiate the meaning that Shakespeare might have infused, and the readers might have been able to decode them. So characters portrayed by him are not just stable; they evolve, they collapse, they transform, they contradict themselves very many times. So this stability is not a flaw; it is uh, a philosophical insight. It actually suggests that identity is not fixed; it is what do you call it? Processual. It is dynamic. It is often incomplete. So gender as performance, not just as essence. So if we observe Shakespeare's plays carefully, we notice that gender often appears not as an essence, but as a performance. So characters assume roles, adopt disguises, shift behaviors, and these pattern is what do you call? We can say this pattern is widespread. It seems to be prevalent across many of most of his plays. So Lady Macbeth also very many times. Uh, we cannot say that she performs only the uh, female roles. She also performs the masculinity, and this masculinity notion is encoded with some traits, human traits like ambition. And on the contrary, we can say that Hamlet also performs hesitation uh, that disrupts masculinity. So the encoded roles, you know, are sometimes the boundaries between the two are blurred. You know. In this way, we also see the Othello performing authority but experiencing vulnerability at the same time. So, suggesting that what we call masculine or feminine is not natural, it is constructed, enacted, and often unstable. Here, we enter into a space of uncertainty, and Shakespeare's plays are full of such uncertainty. His characters uh, uh, question, they struggle with who they are and what they should be, what they are likely to be, and how they are perceived by the readers. This struggle is not limited to gender only. It extends to their existence itself. So Hamlet's saying to be or not to be is not just about life and death. It is in fact about identity. It is about being. It is about the inestability to find certainty. Or it can also be said that it is patriarchy as a structure of fixity, uh, uh, thriving on the ideas of what a man should be and what a woman should be, what roles each one of them are is expected to perform. So, in this way, you see, it creates stability, but as a cost, because in doing so, it suppresses complexity. It does not allow men to be vulnerable, women to be powerful, and individuals to exist beyond categories. And this is where the key word ungendering becomes important, because it is not merely an analytical tool, it is a form of resistance. So, human beings, in fact, after the study of uh, major characters of Shakespeare, they are conspicuously depicted as incomplete, and their characters are never fully resolved. Hamlet never finds certainty, Lear never regains stability, Othello never escapes doubt, and Lady Macbeth never finds peace. Because if you focus in the context of Macbeth, and in the very beginning, in some, I think, first and second act, you will find that two diametrically opposite and contradictory uh, demands uh, are asked by Macbeth, because what he wishes, what they want, is counterbalanced by peace. Because what you want will not let you be at peace. And if you want peace, you will not, or you are not required to crave for what you actually wish. So, two diametrically contradictory things have been placed very judiciously by Shakespeare in the uh, storyline of Macbeth, and it is to be understood that uh, each uh, wish has certain repercussions and demands. The demands that one wish has will go with that only. If you have one wish and the demands which are not to be fulfilled by that wish are included, they are going to create catastrophe. So uh, we can say that the gender, you know, has one aspect of identity, and not its totality. One lens of interpretation, not the only lens. So we can say that uh, the ungendering of the uh, gendered characters of Shakespeare open the space where the females are not the uh, people who abide by what they're expected to be. So I now, in fact, arrive at the final wording of my talk, and that is uh, uh, we began with the gratitude, with the celebration of William Shakespeare's enduring legacy, and that is, I was telling that 462 years of intellectual presence. We actually move on the concluding, uh, we should not say lines, we should say questions. And they may be like, what does all this finally lead us to? So, do we not need to revisit the journey? If we look back, we notice that our journey has not been linear, it has been layered. We began with gender as a category, we examined power as a structure, and we interrogated patriarchy as a system. But as we move forward, something also shifted. What is that shifted is gender not being fixed and power not being stable and identity not being complete. So the contribution of the Me Too movement, and being used as the in the tagline, has been a turning point in our contemporary understanding, which has actually let us understand, acknowledge, listen, and validate. It has, in fact, given us the points of references where we can voice to experiences that were long suppressed. So, this voice, Me Too, is essential. Without it, there is no beginning. But every beginning invites continuation. And this is where my intervention, bringing you to into the picture, begins. If Me Too, which I have already stated is assertion, then you too is recognition. It actually asks us not only to speak, but to listen, not only to assert, but to relate, and not only to identify difference, but explore connection, and connection where connection or connect with Shakespeare as the bridge between the two. So it is here that Shakespeare becomes deeply relevant, uh, because he does not just offer us the fixed identities. He offers us characters like Hamlet, who questions, and characters like King Lear, who breaks, Othello, who doubts, Macbeth, who has great ambition, and Lady Macbeth, who helps in the achievement of uh, all that her husband thinks about. So these characters do not remain within boundaries, they cross them, they challenge them, and sometimes collapse under them. Beyond gender reading means if we read these characters only as male or female, or strong or weak, or the boundaries that I've already talked about, powerful and powerless, the complexity uh, is actually diluted. It need not be diluted into categories, because when they become categories, then they become straitjacketed and the limitations are constant. But if we read them as humans, we in fact begin to see something deeper. And in that deepest core, we find strength in vulnerability, and authority in doubt, and we find resilience in limitations. So when we ungender the understanding, this is where the idea of ungendering the gender becomes meaningful, because it does not erase gender, and it does not deny difference. It simply reminds us that difference is not the limit of understanding. Difference is the beginning of a different space which is yet to be explored. Power does not always speak loudly. Truth does not always come from the center. Sometimes, and when we are in the 21st century, it is axiomatically to be understood and applied that truth also comes from the margins. And this is deeply connected to the MeToo movement, where voices from the margins uh, moved from the periphery to the center. So, in this way, uh, what I've discussed, in fact, is the uh, is that Shakespeare is not just asking us who is man and who is the woman. He is actually asking us what does it mean to be a human, and not just me too, not just you too, but creating a space where we begin to say uh, we too, which is not there, which is not there in the tagline, but which was there to be placed at the end, because it's not just me too, it's not just you too, which I have brought in, but it is we too. And from this point of view, if the analysis of the play is done in even in the context of gender, even in the context of power, even in the context of patriarchy, the repercussion is going to be cohesive. The repercussion is going to be coherence. The chaos will not be the outcome. So, in that context, uh, I wind up my talk here with the sense that the topic which has been selected by the organizers gave enough space and even for me to think in an in a different way uh, alongside the line which intends us to re-examine Shakespeare's women, but at the same time I try to uh, define what are the other possibilities alongside the female characters when we investigate them in Shakespeare's works. So I think this is enough. Thank you so much.
Sir, thank you so much, sir. The point is actually what you have mentioned. We strongly agree with that, sir. In regard to Shakespearean works, you said it is not uh, it is not me or I mean me too or not you too, but we too. That is really very capturing. I mean that is a very really a very good point, sir. We really agree with that. Uh, uh, Thank you, Professor Anshuman, sir,
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
your highly insightful and engaging session.
Thank you,
Your
sir.
perspectives have truly enriched our understanding and offered us new ways of looking at Shakespeare's characters and gender dynamics. Sir, we are really grateful for your time and valuable contribution. Now we would like to open the floor for interaction. Participants, you're all welcome to share your thoughts, raise your questions, and seek clarifications. Please unmute yourselves and please do that.
Sir, you told very well, sir, about Shakespeare characters and gender, me too, and you too, sir. It's a very insightful subject, the feminine and masculine.
Mm.
Uh, Happiness to give the expression shows, sir. you, sir, for giving this opportunity. And Varnasri, madam, thank you very much. Thank you, madam, for your team spirit and leadership, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
So, your session is very, very useful to me, sir.
Thank you, sir.
We benefited a lot because the paper I'm going to submit is almost, the theme is almost related to your subject.
Oh,
And
oh, oh.
I will make use of all the inputs. Very, very insightful and enlightening, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you
The
so much.
title of the topic is very innovative.
Yes. Actually, the credit goes to the organizers who have created that title in which they have introduced the Me Too era phrase itself, because that has triggered something to think of.
Me too and you too.
You too, from you too to you too. Me
How
too.
blended both of them in one title, extraordinary and very extempore speech, yours. So
Thank you so much.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. And thank you, organizers, for arranging such wonderful sessions for all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Anshuman. It's a very nice presentation by you. Sir,
Thank you, sir.
I want to ask one question. Shakespeare often used cross-dressing like a Rosalind or Viola
Ah,
to blur gender lines. In
ah.
your view, does this reinforce the gender binary by eventually returning them to traditional roles, or does it permanently ungender the character's soul?
No, we can say that there are limitations as well in that time. There are limitations how one character has to be presented in one way or that way. There are limitations as well, because keeping in view the ideas that Shakespeare has and their resonance and relevance till date, it is very difficult to bind Shakespeare himself into the traditional logos, traditional tags. So his ideas are still relevant, and we, the readers, are still exploring that actually validate how Shakespeare has been very powerful in the presentation of his ideas. So just keeping in view the way he crisscross things does not bind himself. It goes beyond and beyond, and that actually need to be explored, which actually we are doing in this seminar as well.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello, Professor Anshuman.
Yes,
Prerna this side. Yeah, it was wonderful listening to you.
thank you.
Very enriching, and I would say very interesting.
Thank
Very interesting dimensions you added to Shakespeare's uh, both male as well as female characters, because we all know that Shakespeare was actually ungendering, and that was the point we made.
Yes.
And in fact, yesterday during our paper presentation also, this
Ah,
point was being picked up. Like all the presenters were being asked about this. Do you
mm,
think? Do you think Me Too still survives? Many of them, they gave their own views about. Yes, it's still there. It's still there.
ah,
But we all know. I mean, Shakespeare was always curious about the human nature, the and be it, yeah. So the lines are in fact very blurred.
mm,
Anyhow, I must compliment the organizers for this very interesting international conference.
mm,
So yeah, getting back to Shakespeare is always
ah,
a great thing to do. Because we are so much into post-colonial and all those postmodernism and all. So, getting back to Shakespeare then and now, I must congratulate everyone. Wonderful. Thank you.
And ma'am, it is also interesting to me watching you, listening you here, as well as at many other platforms. So, so it is
Yeah.
also. And for Shakespeare, I would only say Keats's line that a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Whenever we read Shakespeare, he
Yeah,
unfolds.
always,
He
always,
unfolds.
always, always. Yeah. So enchanting. Such an
Yes,
enchanting writer.
definitely.
The Shakespeare has always been for all times and ages.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Prerna madam. Venkat sir,
Thank you.
Ah,
you
yes,
want to
ma'am.
speak?
Shall we conclude, ma'am, the session?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. The respected Dr. Praveen Kumar Anshuman sir, and all other dignitaries, participants, and students, it gives an immense gratitude to propose a vote of thanks for this session. And Dr. Praveen Kumar Anshuman has lectured, which has shattered barriers and rebuilt the understanding. Not just me too, but you too, is a call to accountability that went beyond hashtag activism. You place the two portraits side by side, not to compare, but to gender. You showed us how Shakespeare's men and women bleed into each other, how Hamlet's indecision mirrors Ophelia's silence, how Lady Macbeth's ambition answers Macbeth's fear, how Rosalind's wit and Orlando's poetry are two dialects of the same language. The glowing Shakespeare's in your expressions was just a design choice. You had illuminated it for us today, and you experienced that to gender Shakespeare is to shift. To ungender him is to free him and us. For making 400-year-old characters step into our 2026 conversations on identity, allyship, and shared humanity, we are very much profoundly grateful to your expressions. As the Shakespeare wrote in his As You Like It, all the words is stage. Today, Dr. Anshuman showed us that on Shakespeare's stage, the costumes of male and female were always removable. What remains is the humanity. So, on this juncture, I would like to continue and express my deep gratitude to Dr. Anshuman, who has carried his ungendered lens into every text, every classroom, and every conversation. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your
Thank you so much.
beautiful expressions and valuable insights you have shared with us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, madam. It has been very nice speaking with you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Parna, madam.
Sir, sir,
Okay, ma'am.
shall we move to next session, sir?
Ah,
Praveen,
yes,
sir,
sir.
thank
Sir.
you very much, sir. Have a great day, sir.
Sir has joined.
Venkat, sir.
Please continue.
Shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. My dear participants, please mute yourself now. Thank you. It is my honor to introduce Professor Dr. Mohit Al-Ulam, an eminent scholar from Bangladesh. He earned his PhD in Shakespeare from the University of Dhaka and began his teaching career at Chittagong University. He later served as a Vice Chancellor of Jatia Kabi Kaji Najrul Islam University and is currently the Dean of the Faculty of Arts and Professor in the Department of English. The Department of English Language and Literature at Premier University, Chattogram, Bangladesh. A prolific writer and translator, he has published over 50 books across genres and has translated 12 of Shakespeare's plays in Bengali and making Shakespeare accessible to a wide readership. His scholarly contributions also include editing major Shakespearean texts and publishing critical essays alongside his recent autobiography, My Life Plus Minus. Sir is going to deliver us the great carpet game, politics, performance, and passion in Antony and Cleopatra. Let us extend a warm welcome to Professor Dr. Mohit Alam. Over to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, over to you now, sir. Please unmute your, sir, unmute that button. Unmute it, sir. Sir, the button is just like this. You just click it, sir. It has this symbol. Just click it, sir. Please click that button, sir. Mohit, sir. Professor Mohit. Sir, unmute it, sir. Sir, your voice is not audible, sir. Please unmute the button, sir.
Madam, please call him personally. Since he
Okay.
is muted, you will not be able to listen.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please call him
Actually,
personally.
I want. Yes, sir. Dr. Venkat, sir, please talk to sir about it. You ask him to unmute it, sir. Mohit, sir, this is a symbol you have on the screen. You please click this. Mohit, sir, please look at the screen once. On the screen, you can find this kind of symbol. Please look at the paper once that I have shown.
Top right corner and mobile అయితే type రాక.
Sir, it is on the top right corner, sir. Sir, on the screen, you can find that one. On the top right screen, I mean right side, top corner, sir. The button is just like this, sir.
Madam, please send a message at least.
Yes, sir. Venkat sir is trying to do that, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I request my dear participants, please maintain patience.
Sure, madam. Sure, we maintain the silence.
Dr. Mohit, I'm sure you are on laptop or PC, right? So even if you click on the screen, you will find the bottom buttons. Check the mic.
Hi, Sri Lakshmi ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you very much. We'll see maybe.
Ma'am, people from across the world we can find now. Sri Lakshmi Sri Lakshmi ma'am from ma'am.
You can as well unmute him because you will have the, organizer. Yesterday, you can unmute him. He doesn't need to. You can mute him. You can unmute him.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Because
I'll
you
try.
will have the organizer controls.
I will try.
Can you not unmute me from your side?
Yes, sir. We are doing, sir. We are doing. Just a minute. Yes, sir. We are working on that. Just a minute.
Sir, actually, I don't have that option, sir. I have only 3 options. Somebody is making much noise. I can pin for him or spotlight for everyone and remove from the meeting. I have only the 3 options. Sir, ask him to rejoin, sir. Sir, ask him to rejoin. Sir, Mohit, sir. Once you exit and rejoin, sir. Venkat, sir. Ask her to exit and rejoin.
Madam, you can call him directly and you can tell him, madam, instead of saying in the conference, you can directly make a call to him. That's better option.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Swarna, I can see I have the options of muting all and things. You are the organizer. You have it. I'll just show you. Don't mistake me.
No, no. Ma'am.
Yes, please.
I have only 3 options. Only one is pin for me. Pin for everyone. and remove from the chart.
Mhm.
And there is one more. Also, I'll tell you. Very
Finally,
happy about this.
finally, Antony and Cleopatra have met.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, by addressing Mr. Kudmoni, I would like to announce myself as being able to be a presenter here at this great international conference arranged by the scholars of Shakespeare in India. Though I was really inquisitive to know from which place of India it is being centered. Is it in Delhi, or because of the geographical names with which we are not very familiar? So I was not very sure which area of India, which city of India is organizing this program. So, but it doesn't matter since we are speaking online. And my topic I have already sent the full version of my article to Mr. Kudmani just a while ago, so that I thought if I fail in case to communicate online, then that paper might be of help. So in my paper, which is on Antonio and Cleopatra, one of the great Roman tragedies written by Shakespeare in the year 1606, and there is a dispute about it. They say that critics say that maybe it was also written in 1608. But from my study of the origin of sources of Shakespeare, I think that it was composed in 1606, and then it came out in quarterly version in 1608, but finally it was published in the 1623 folio edition, which was edited by John Hemingway and Henry Pondell, two of Shakespeare's co-workers in the Globe Theatre. So what I wanted to say is almost explained by my title, where I say that it is the great carpet game, and then fashion, politics, and performance as it is reflected in Antonio and Cleopatra. Now, this carpet game, this title was induced by my remembering a film. Probably all of you know that film, that very famous 1963 Hollywood movie where Elizabeth Taylor was Cleopatra and Mark Antony to become her husband later. From this very shooting scene, Mark Antony was, Richard Burton was Mark Antony, and Alec Guinness was Julius Caesar. Now, there, uh, in that film, Apollodorus, an Egyptian ally of Cleopatra, who is called a Philo. Philo means the most trusted, loyal servant or compatriot. Apollodorus carried Cleopatra inside a carpet, bundled inside a carpet, just to get entry to Julius Caesar when he made his residence in Alexandria after he made a pact with Ptolemy XII, Cleopatra's stepbrother and husband. And there, Cleopatra wanted to get into the castle by adopting this ploy. And when Apollodorus unrolls the carpet before Julius Caesar, he was charmed very much, so much that instead of arresting Cleopatra, he got allured to Cleopatra, and the beginning of the romantic relationship between an elderly general, Roman general Julius Caesar, and a very young upcoming queen of Egypt that took place, uh, resulting in the birth of their first son, Julian, Caesarion. And then from this very spectacle, I got my idea to develop my essay that here the carpet is functioning in a dual role. The carpet itself is a hard object and it is trying to hide Cleopatra inside it. But when the carpet is unrolled, Cleopatra comes out, then it shows that the carpet is functioning in this manner that it is both trying to hide Cleopatra, but at the same time it is releasing Cleopatra. So therein, therefore, the famous ambiguity arises that whether the carpet is the solid object that should contain the passion that Cleopatra possesses, or whether Cleopatra should be the passionate being who should dominate over, almost decimate the objective reality of the carpet. So this is very much in tune with the modern studies of Shakespeare, where every play is being now reread for the materialistic dimensions that were previously by traditional scholarship, humanitarian scholarship, that was previously rather ignored or marginalized. But here I find that this very objective existence of the carpet, which is being diluted by the powerful, charming appearance of Cleopatra, is leading to is leading us to understand the main pattern of the play, that everything solid will be melted. Everything solid, by this I want to mean the Roman Republic, which will later on become the Roman Empire, the solidity of the Roman city, as well as the solidity of Alexandria. These two cities, if they represent the two dimensions of the Roman world, the Western Roman world and the Eastern Roman world, then we see that both these political entities are allowed to merge into the greater affectionate, amorous entity that is being represented by Cleopatra and Mark Antony. But herein, then, I am trying to develop a certain new dimension which I think was not really clearly attended to before. This one is that I have noticed in my rereading when I was preparing this paper for the seminar, as I have been rereading it. I read Mark and Antonio Cleopatra for the umpteenth time, but as I was focusing again on it, I found that here Shakespeare was grappling with a struggle with which he was not new. The struggle he actually became aware about when when in 1597, when 9 years ago, when he was composing Richard II, he also came across this problem of putting a character in a heroic status where the very element of heroism is lacking from the character. So in Richard II, Shakespeare was successful because he invested a great psychological profundity in the character of Richard as against his dramatic ploy or dramatic craft to reduce the status or image or the appearance of Bolingbroke, Prince Bolingbroke, who was apparently the opponent of Richard II in that play. But there, Shakespeare was successful to draw our attention to Richard II as a tragic character. And in my opinion, Richard II is the forerunner of the great characters that will evolve later on, Hamlet and Othello and King Lear and Macbeth, with soul-searching soliloquies where they do not only reveal their inner minds, but where they also use the soliloquies as a deceptive means to keep their inner minds hidden. This very uh, this very dimension of characterization, Shakespeare really successfully used in Richard II. So therefore, though we see that Richard II is a fallen hero, but still at the end of the play we say that Richard II is the hero. He is the protagonist. He is the tragic character. to whom we uh, pay attention to. But when he was trying with Mark Antony or Antonio Cleopatra, he came across the same problem. But this time, what I have tried to show is that Shakespeare could see that he cannot have, from the materials, historical materials that were at his disposal, from Plutarch, from Tacitus, from even Thomas North, who is the translator of this, from their sources, he couldn't really find enough material to pose Mark Antony as a hero. Though about Cleopatra, he didn't have any problem because Cleopatra almost has this heroism ingrained in her character. But such, the same thing cannot be said about Mark Antony. So, what Shakespeare had tried to do, I think it is my personal conviction, and many scholars may disagree with me, but I think Shakespeare invested sublime poetry not to actually beautify or glorify the glorious character of Mark Antony, but to cover up the very deficiency he was encountering or he was struggling with in his characterization of Mark Antony. So, therefore, what I wanted to say is that Shakespeare then used Cleopatra and in places Mark Antony also to produce beautiful poetic lines as sublime as anything that comes close to the sublime lines used in Macbeth or Hamlet. Even A.C. Bradley, for example, a little bit, I want to say, trapped uh, by this overpowering uh, poetry, and he got glued to it, and he had to give his opinion that Cleopatra was created by Shakespeare with the same kind of genius with which he created Hamlet. I agree with this. He had not said the same thing about Antony for the right reason, because in Antony's case, Shakespeare was, uh, trying to create a defensive wall which was not there, a protective wall which was not there. So, as he was a master dramatist, what technique he followed is very interesting. He always referred to Antony's past as the heroic kind of self by which Antony could be identified. But in a political world where Rome was emerging as an empire, where this kind of political brinksmanship is very important. Here, Antony didn't fail once. In the play, if you look at the play, Antony failed a number of times when such occasion arose where he could have risen to the occasion. But as he couldn't, Shakespeare wanted to sort of modify his character by by making him an object of reference with great poetry. Cleopatra, for example, says, "My Lord, Lord of Lords, my man of man," and then she compares him with Hercules, spreading over the this water body. Everything is so highly magnified, but as a reader, I was trying to find out how could this man be called a hero when we see in the ground that the factual narrative is rather uh, poor. So this technique Shakespeare used, but I think he probably didn't succeed. This is my conclusion here in this essay, that it is a great tragedy. Antony Cleopatra is a great tragedy, but it also has certain things which has greatly failed. That is the characterization of Mark Antony. But then he always referred to Mark Antony with his great deeds he accomplished in the past. But in the present moment, Mark Antony is not coming up to the level or coming up to the expectation. Then Shakespeare uses Cleopatra as an agent, or let us say, as an advocate for Mark Antony, not only by giving her the beautiful poetry. Okay, I am all fair and I am only a fire and air, and my other lower things go to. All these are beautiful things. You cannot forget these lines. But again, there is a slightly writerly diplomatic mission is at work here. Shakespeare is trying to pose Cleopatra not only as a lover of Mark Antony, but also as a kind of figure who loves Antony, but at the same time who also knows that why she should patronize Mark Antony. So this patronizing attitude is therefore added by Shakespeare in order to save Mark Antony from the ultimate ruin he was leading himself into. And in this case, you see, if you remember Anabarbus's famous speech about Cleopatra, age cannot wither her, or custom cannot steal her infinite variety, all these beautiful lines are there. And Anabarbus also knew Mark Antony very much, very closely, and he used that sartorial image, trying to convinced Antony that if Fulvia is dead, he should not repent because God acts like tailors to supply you with new garments, like new wives. So then Fulvia is there, then Octavia comes in, and then Cleopatra is there. Now here, the question is, what actually is Antony losing in his own ground has been increased by another ploy used by Shakespeare, which I have said politics. This politics is conducted by Octavius Caesar. Octavius Caesar, he was a nephew, a distant nephew of Julius Caesar, and probably many of you know that Julius Caesar in history goes as a very, very skillful general, but at the same time, who was a great humanizer. So therefore, there is evidence or suspected evidence that probably Julius Caesar's secret son was Octavius Caesar. Anyway, Octavius Caesar is what Julius Caesar was not. Julius Caesar was out and out a hero, but Octavius Caesar is a kind of David Cecil in the Elizabethan court, who used to understand the political maneuverings that are more important than the actions that occupy the surface. So at the end of the day, Octavius Caesar has found out that he must employ a kind of hate campaign. And this hate campaign, whether it is true or fictitious, doesn't matter. But this hate campaign has been successfully used by Octavius Caesar, not because that they were really something worthy in themselves, but because Antony, innocently, unknown to him, was adding to this idea or to this policy of increasing hate campaign against him, especially to the Romans. Now, again, as I was telling you, that this Shakespeare has created by making a bifurcated attention between Antony's past and Antony's present. In the very first speech, when Philo was commenting to his Roman friend Domitius about Antony's present role, it almost comes like a play within the play, in front of their eyes. And in the movies, it is very much exploited that it must be seen by Philo and Domitius, where Antony and Cleopatra are going to hug each other, probably with a kiss, and then Antony very famously, or very painfully, let us say, in the context of my essay, it is not anymore a heroic utterance, but a painful utterance when he says, "Let Rome in Tiber melt," which will be complemented by Cleopatra later on when she will say that let Alexandria sink in the Nile. But again, there is a difference. Antony's liquefying of Rome into the river of Tiber occurs because of a passionate love uh, charge he feels inside him. But Cleopatra's one is a diplomatically tuned, or let us say diplomatically nuanced, because she now understands that If Antony fails, she must somehow sustain her kingdom or empire by coming into some kind of allegiance with Octavius Caesar. That was never absent from her mind. So now Caesar then says, I have nothing personal, no personal grudge against uh, Mark Antony, because he was a great fighter. At the Battle of Modena, he went days together hungry and eating certain things which cannot even be put into language. So that Antony was a famous Antony. But this Antony has turned into a trumpet's fool. Now the Queen of Egypt, from the eyes of the Romans, is nothing but the strumpet, the hood. So this very value judgment, is propagated by Caesar. And we know that Mark Antony, in his own right, was a great soldier. When he fought at the Battle of Philippi in the year 42 BC, defeating both Brutus and Cassius. At that time, Octavius was a young charmer, and he said, the sword dancer. He was a dancer at the Battle of Philippi, and that young man is now throwing me a challenge. Then there is something important here. When Antony is trying to demean Octavius Caesar by referring to his past life when he was a nearly young soldier, when he didn't know how to use the sword correctly, when he was just acting like a dancer, that is a fact of the past. But Antony makes the mistake or blunder in recognizing the fact that yesterday's young man may be today's mature man. This very denial of the progress of the biological power and intellectual power of the human individual, which was a requirement for the Renaissance scholars to be very much pragmatic about this growth, physical growth and intellectual growth taking place together, blended together, as Hamlet wanted to mean that in the Elizabethan world, every young individual, upcoming individual, had to be many in one. But that very concept is not working in Antony's mind. And then when Cleopatra, uh, when Cleopatra found that Antony was very desperate, she could, because of her superior intelligence or because of her superior political acumen, she could understand that Antony is a desperate man who wants to do things for which he probably is not any longer capable. So when Antony, as you remember the text, before the Battle of Actium in the 30-31 BC, there had been many smaller fracas. One of the smaller fracas was taking place at the gate of Alexandria. Caesar was yet to enter uh, the city. But before that, Antony goes out there and saying that I will fight my last fight and I will crush everything. And to add to this comic utterance, Shakespeare makes a small detail which cannot escape our notice. Cleopatra was trying to, now look at this, Cleopatra was trying to arm him, and she didn't have any idea about the arm guards. So she was putting the arm guard on the left one on the right one like that. And Antony said, no, 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 this is to be put here. But this very action is taken up by Cleopatra, and it is not given to any of the attendant soldiers like heroes to dress Antony up, because Shakespeare wanted to show us that how belittling Antony is becoming even in the eyes of Cleopatra. But Cleopatra, since she is deeply in love with Antony, she rather tries to indulge Antony into it rather than speaking straight to him that you are making a mistake. But when Antony leaves the scene, Cleopatra makes an utterance. Antony then, but now. That is, Antony then means in the past, Antony was a great hero like Hercules, and Antony demanded that Hercules was his forefather. But then Cleopatra says, now Antony is is almost a non-entity. So with this small phasing, but then, but now, this small phrasing, Shakespeare has explored what I have tried to tell you. Now, uh, so Antony becomes victorious, but then the final battle to take place. Now look at this. In Caesar's speech, one of his head campaigns, Caesar says that Antony is no longer functioning like a man. And as you remember, Cleopatra referred to their pastime when they preferred to choose transvestism as a ploy to increase their pleasure. So, by which Antony became Cleopatra and Cleopatra became Antony. Cleopatra said, I used his sword, the very famous Philippine sword, on my waist. That is, I became Antony and he became she. But this very ploy, which was a pastime in their good times, is politically used by Octavius Caesar to prove to his Roman friends, look, this man whom I have given, or the Roman Republic has given the charge of the eastern part of the Republic, where all the Asian kingdoms are to be subjugated, to be ruled by him. This Antony has become like a woman, and it is very difficult to discriminate between who Antony is and who Cleopatra is. Now, this very thing is now taking up a crucial turn after the Battle of Actium. Here, uh, this transvestism, when it has, from a funny aspect, it has taken on a serious turn, then Antony has to make a crucial decision regarding the type of force he should use against Octavius Caesar. And as you all know, the Roman generals, they were very strong on the land. The Roman Empire, as I have read this history, the Roman Empire was built because of the strict disciplinarian lifestyle and military skills of the Roman soldiers and Roman generals. All of them are, great tradition. They have set up a great tradition. But then Cleopatra says in the play, I am the governor of my kingdom. Because actually, if you equate their roles, Cleopatra is still the queen of Egypt, which means she must be the commander in chief. And she says, I am the governor, I am the commander in chief, and I would like to fight on the sea. But then Canidius, the very famous loyal servant who then deserted Mark Antony, says, my lord, and another vessel says, my lord, you should not fight on the sea because the Roman army is mythically very strong on the land. Sea must not be your choice. But Cleopatra says, to sea, to sea. And when it comes to Antony to make the final choice, Antony says, by frustrating Canidius, Scarus, and one common soldier, including an Berber, he says, to the sea, what else? So you see, here again, if we try to, we can criticize Octavius Caesar's reading of the relationship, but we have to give license to his, or validity to his statement that herein Cleopatra is the leading pair, leading member of the pair. And when Cleopatra got involved in the battle, sea battle, by looking at the actual phase of the battle, she got nervous, she got scared, and she ordered her ship to come back to Alexandria, to the port of Alexandria. And our Antony, as Scarus says very beautifully, like a doting mallard, like a doting mallard means the male bee, like a doting mallard, he pursued Cleopatra back to the port. It means conceding the defeat to Octavius Caesar. So this very thing in the process of transvestism, which was a popular device exploited by Shakespeare on the stage, has now taken a turn, a serious turn, where the fate of kingdoms depends on it. And this transvestite attitude shows that Cleopatra is on the top and Antony is below him. Now, if we understand the patriarchal nature of the Roman Empire, it was totally unacceptable. If there is a comparison between Julius Caesar and Mark Antony, it has been said by historians like Tacitus. Tacitus was the son-in-law of Pompey. Tacitus said Julius Caesar was always a victorious person on the battlefield and in bed. But our Antony is a victim. So Julius Caesar victimizes women and Antony is victimized by women. Octavia, for example. Now, this very Octavia, she was politically speaking, because the Roman world, Agrippa, everybody, they wanted to forge the bond between these two rival generals, thinking that a marriage probably would pave up the way. But Anabarbus very famously said that this very marriage is going to take the two rivals away from each other, confront each other. And that became very true. Now, when Caesar then was at the heat of his anger, because of a certain development in Egypt. What happened in Egypt, you see, Mark Antony is now the king, Cleopatra is the queen, and all their children, Mark Antony and Cleopatra had three children, one, one set of twins and one son. And by Caesar, she had Caesarion, the son. They were all sitting in front of them, and they all were declared as kings of several kingdoms of Asia. When this report went to Rome, of course, it was misconstrued or it was misreported. Caesar was fuming that, you see, instead of performing his duties on behalf of Rome, he has now segregated his part from Rome and he has declared Rome, this part, eastern part, Alexandrian part, as their own. And at that point, as Shakespeare, I respect Shakespeare for this kind of little touch. Shakespeare is a dramatist who never allows in his plays, if you are very familiar with all his plays, never did he allow to come something to come to a solution in the middle of a play, unless or until the fifth act is, covered. Shakespeare would never be happy with a solution that is occurring in the middle of the play. And this marriage with Cleopatra was almost threatening to be solution to mitigate the differences between the two rivals, and then Rome has to be um, a kingdom of integrity. But this Octavia, at that point when Caesar is fuming in this scene, she comes back to his uh, to her brother's house. In Bangladesh, we call it Baper Bari. To his to her Baper Bari, with a very serene mind that her brother will be happy to receive her. But this actually works like a salt on the wound. Octavius Caesar says, "You have come like a market made in Rome, that is like a prostitute. You are Antony's wife. You should come here with real glory, in real glory, but you have come like a cheap woman." Then, then look at this again, the network of information. Since Octavius Caesar is at the top of Roman world, the information network, like in today's term, this WhatsApp, Messenger, everything is at his grip. By his superior information, he already knows that Cleopatra has nodded to Antony and Antony is back to Alexandria, which is not known to Octavia. So when Octavia says, "Yeah, my husband is in Rome," then Octavia Caesar says, "No, he is in Egypt." But here, in this recognition of his superiority in terms of information, Shakespeare is adding another spice here, that Octavius Caesar is imparting this sad news to Octavia, not with a sad heart actually. He is pretending to be sad. He is a very good pretender. He is pretending to be sad, but actually he is happy because it has given him another ruse to campaign against uh, Mark Antony. So, so therefore, what is happening here? That Cleopatra is here now. After the battle is lost, Antony is very angry. Antony says, "Oh, Egyptian queen, for you, I left the pillow in Rome unpressed." It's a beautiful expression. That is, I didn't spend my connubial time with my new wife Octavia because I was drawn to you. I left my pillow unpressed in Rome. And that, Cleopatra, you have now deceived me. You are kissing on the servant Theseus sent by Octavius Caesar. So here again, you see, Antony is very angry. But again, there is a blunder Antony is making. He has taken Theseus, a messenger sent by Octavius Caesar to know about Cleopatra's mind after the defeat of the Battle of Actium, whatever she is planning to do in future. Caesar's only safeguard was not to allow Cleopatra to commit suicide. And when she kissed Theseus' hand, or Theseus kissed her, Anton didn't understand that Theseus is nobody. Theseus is only a representative of his boss. So this very childlike interpretation of a crucial scene, which he repeatedly does in the play, adds to our idea that Shakespeare was finding it difficult to create a heroic image for Antony when there was not much solid substance for it. Now then, uh, this uh, Cleopatra's maid, Charmian. Charmian then says that, "Oh, my lady, send Antony the message that you are dead." Okay, so this message, false message, is carried by Mardian. Mardian is a eunuch, and eunuch also has a place in this play because it suggests that when the male libido succumbs to this, then the result is to be a eunuch. So they are all castrated males here. And when Mardian informs Mark Antony that Cleopatra is no longer alive, Mark Antony at once follows the Roman way of killing himself. What is the Roman way? For the general to uphold his sword and the royal.
Hello, madam. Hello, sir. Hello. Sir, voice వినిపిస్తుందా మేడం?
లేదు సార్, లేదు సార్.
హలో సార్, మోహిత్ సార్. హలో.
Sir, give him a minute, sir.
There may be some
Reminds.
internet issues there.
Yeah.
I think so.
Otherwise, call him, sir. Venkat, sir.
I'm trying. Hello, sir. Hello.
Yeah, the electricity is gone. I am trying with my mobile now.
Okay, sir. Yes.
I am so sorry. I don't have any control over this electricity problem now in Bangladesh. Because of the hot summer, you see, I can hopefully connect it.
Okay, sir. We are waiting. We are waiting for. We are.
Sir, I request everybody after Mohit sir's class, okay, join, unmute your screen, and we can take a photograph. Or else, shall we take now? In presence of resource person also, I think that would be nice.
Yes,
it's a
yes,
power
madam.
tech, madam. Sir is joining with his mobile network.
Yeah, we heard, sir.
Or we can take now once, or when he comes back, one more. So we can choose the better of the one, better of the two. We can right now have a group photo. When he comes back, once
Yes.
again we will have.
Okay, sir. Are you in, sir, are you in the system or in the mobile? Ravindra, sir?
Yes, madam.
Are you in the mobile or system? I mean,
I'm in the
laptop.
mobile, madam. Any problem?
No. Just I'm asking you, sir.
I'm
So
on
on the
mobile.
laptop, actually, the photo will be very, very nice.
If it is a mobile or laptop.
If it is a laptop, the photo can be nice, sir.
Okay. Right now, I do not have laptop.
No issues. Dr. Ramesh?
Mr. Putman, I am trying to reconnect, but
Yeah.
it's not coming the way it did before.
It is the same process, sir.
I have to follow the same procedure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. But now it looks it's asking for something else like my name, mail address, everything.
No. No need to. You click on the joining link.
So you have sent me a link. Should I press it?
Yes, sir. The same link.
It's not the same link. No, it's saying as ABT platform form.
No, not that one.
No, it's up. So can you send me the previous one?
I have already shared on your personal WhatsApp, sir. You please click on it.
Please be on.
No,
I'm
yes.
sorry that I give you so much trouble. I didn't even think it was just coming up for my but it was the problem. But do not just join now.
In the morning by 10:20, I will share you the link.
Please.
I shared the link in the morning, sir, to your personal WhatsApp.
Okay.
Madam, has the group photo been taken?
Yes, sir. I have taken the group photos, sir.
Okay. Shall we unmute our video?
Yeah, you can, sir. And we have taken already.
Okay.
Can I? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So can I continue now from the place where I
Yes,
left? Okay. Now
definitely, sir.
I was explaining to you that when Charmian said that Antony should be sent a message or news of Cleopatra's death, then Antony says that the day's business is done. There is nothing for him to live any longer. So he asks his soldier, Eros, to hold the knife. It is the Roman way of killing a general, to hold the knife erect and Antony would jump on it. But Eros was so loyal to Mark Antony that he prefers to kill himself rather than to get his boss murdered. So Antony says, you have shown me the way, so I will kill myself. And then he tries to kill himself, but he could not finish himself because he was severely injured. Now, this also, as you know, is popularly criticized as another mark of the symbol of the sword, which was a brave metallic sword in the Battle of Philippi. And if this sword is synonymous with the penile power of man, then Antony surely has lost his manhood along with his uh, exercise of the brain, that he cannot even kill himself. So this is how the solid object of the solid material of the sword has been diluted by Antony's failed attempt to kill himself. But anyway, then Antony's wounded body, Cleopatra is not dead, and it has been let known to him, and his dead body is brought up here in the monument, and it has a many discussions regarding how the stage was arranged to lift such a heavy manly body of Antony by three women, Charmian, Iras, and Cleopatra. But anyway, this is not our focus here. Antony's body is brought up here, and Cleopatra then gives him the final kiss, and Antony dies. And at that point, the next phase is now taken up by Octavius Caesar. He wants to know about Cleopatra's intention by sending Proclius, and before that, by sending another messenger. And then to Proclius, Cleopatra almost wants to say that the last thing she would do is to be displayed in front of the Roman archons. But then when Caesar comes, and to Caesar, she confesses that she would not like to go to Rome, things like that. But then she would not like to leave. But then Seleucus, her treasurer, it is, I know, or everybody knows that it is actually prearranged. Seleucus discloses that his queen has kept certain part of the property hidden from this declaration. And Caesar goes back happily, thinking that Cleopatra would not die, would not commit suicide. Otherwise, why she would have kept her property a secret? But then that was the ploy with which Cleopatra becomes very successful. And at that point, she says to Charmian and Iras, and this line I like, that would you like to be shown, would you like to be buoyed in Rome by the Roman arches? And I have discussed this word uh, in connection with many grammar books, where never is boy given the status of the verb. But here it looks to be an active verb when she says, "Would you like to be buoyed in Rome?" So this is how Shakespeare also lets us go into the Elizabethan stage fact. At that time, the female roles were taken up by young boys. So whoever would be mocking Cleopatra, he would be a boy. So Shakespeare says, "Would you like to be boiled in Rome?" But let this go apart. But what is happening now? Cleopatra is keen on following Antony, and therein she utters speeches, long speeches, where you will see that it is all hyperbolical utterances, very magnificent speeches, where Cleopatra wants to say that everything is now even on the world. There is no difference between young man and old man, this and that, because the person who was the source of making all discriminations, that person is absent. But nowhere do we see anything, any kind of wisdom coming from Antony's actions like that. So this very overplaying of emotion, in order to highlight Antony's image as a hero, though it is uttered at the time when it is very tragic for Cleopatra to feel the absence of Antony, but still I feel that these great speeches, these two speeches, has not really covered up the sense of pain we have, that this Antony was a great soldier, but this Antony is almost like a kind of like a kind of non-entity at this phase of the world. But then Cleopatra commits suicide by applying those two as, and then the play ends with this beautiful image of the snake. Asp means our cobra. Indian cobra is the asp. Asp. And then she says, if you are a talking animal, you should see that it is poultry to be Caesar. It is poultry to be Caesar. Caesar, you see, the Roman world was a big, solid empire. So was the Alexandrian kingdom. But Cleopatra at this point has reduced the solidity of the Roman world into the presence of one individual, Octavius Caesar. And when Octavius Caesar is befooled, then synecdochically we can say that the whole Roman world is befooled by the Queen of Egypt. But Octavius Caesar is befooled. It is faulty to be Caesar, but then he says, Caesar is made an ass. Caesar is made an ass. Now, if we understand erotic language, ass is not really the image for a man to be attached with. So it also shows that, which also occurs in Coriolanus, Coriolanus, Anus, A-N-U-S. So when Cleopatra says that Caesar is turned into an ass, I comfortably tied it up with the passive connotation we always attach to the us in the human body. So this is how the body parts also become very volatile and powerfully suggestive of the whole thing that Shakespeare wanted to say. Now, about the Roman history and the Egyptian history, that's- Shakespeare can be given credit for being able to dramatize so vast a material into this performance for 3 hours. And in doing so, he has not really applied much of his poetic license. We cannot say that. But at the same time, his poetic genius, he has always given the elevated shape here. So somehow I think that Antonio and Cleopatra to me comes more like a great lyric poetry, great lyric poem of love or tragic love rather than a drama. This is my feeling. So, and then in the end, in my essay, I have also tried to say that it is possible for Antony to recheck himself a number of times, but every time he failed, and this failure from the Roman point of view is unacceptable because Roman world was dominated by Vartas. Vartas means courage. Virtus. Vartas means courage. And Antony being a very solid representative of that Vartas at the time of the at the crucial times, he seems to have become oblivious to this. Now, this is another a moral question which was put by Plutarch long ago. And today, when I was making comment on the play, I somehow failed to corroborate my opinions with the Bradleyan or G. Wilson Knight kind of universal humanism, great poetry, love ascending over politics. I, I, I think I don't know because maybe because of the development of the political situation in the 21st century, I somehow think that this notion was probably not what Shakespeare wanted to carry through. Though Shakespeare was never a moralist, though Shakespeare was always eons of miles away from Plutarchian morality, but if we study Shakespeare from the beginning to the end, somehow in the back of his mind, there is a necessity by which Henry the Fifth had to reject false stuff. I know thee not, old man. This rejection of false stuff is in a way is like a key to unfolding the the problems that Shakespeare had gone through in dramatizing Antony and Cleopatra. And again, if we compare Antony and Cleopatra as a senior love tragedy to Romeo and Juliet, which he also composed 9 years ago, even then you will see that Romeo and Juliet succeeds in making their love tragedy tragic enough, against which Cleopatra, Antony and Cleopatra is a far superior play because there are no lapses in dramatization or characterization. But again, somehow at the bottom, the tune is a mistune. Or there is a kind of degree of distuning which I could not but exceed to in my reading of the play. So then this is how I have tried to present my, it's a long essay. I have sent this essay to Mr. Kudmoni. If he prefers or if the editorial board thinks that they could make a publication projection for it, I would be very happy. It may be online or it may be in print. Or if they think that
Sure, sir.
there
Sure,
may
sir.
be
We will
some
go into that
modified
and we will
need.
look into that.
So with this, I'm very much thankful to all of you for allowing me this opportunity to give. And I'm also at the same time very sorry actually that the power service, energy service was not very much, friendly to us. Okay. Thank you very much.
Sir,
Yeah,
you
thank you so much,
need
sir.
not say
Thank you
sorry,
so
sir.
much. Wonderful.
Sometimes it may happen, sir.
Yeah.
All is well that ends well.
And it
That is
happens
all.
when you need the most. This is again life teaching. Whenever you need
Yes.
something very urgently, you will miss that thing. That is really his sad part of life. Can I see the faces of the participants? I mean, the faces are hiding. I'm very much interested to see faces, you see. Oh, I see. Yeah, okay, good. All my Indian friends, and scholars of Shakespeare. You see,
People
my very great friend is Stephen Greenblatt, the Harvard professor, the pioneer of neo-historicism. And he told me that, Mohit, I went to see him in Harvard. He said, Mohit, always look at faces. Shakespeare always attended to the faces, human faces. Thank you very much.
Uma madam. Uma madam. Rambabu sir.
Good afternoon, sir. You told
Yeah,
very
okay.
well, sir, about Julius Caesar, Shakespeare's Julius Caesar, and Antony and Cleopatra and Julius Caesar, sir. Your backside book shows you are a very intelligent and
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
knowledge sharing.
it's my own world. When I come to this room,
Okay.
it works like magic.
Okay.
I do not only write and read here, I also sing from time to time when I like.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity and all the team, sir. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. I am Dr. Sirius Ravindranath. from Dr. V.S. Krishna Government Degree College, Visakhapatnam. And thank you so much for your deeply enriching.
Just a minute. This is another wonderful thing for me, that when I come to know Indian people, they give so many names with which we are totally unfamiliar. We only know Delhi, Calcutta, Mumbai. Okay, good. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. A deeply enriching and thought-provoking talk on Antony and Cleopatra. What makes your lecture truly remarkable is not only the depth of your thought and insight, but the clarity and the passion with which you brought the play alive for us. Your interpretation beautifully highlighted the emotional complexity of Antony and Cleopatra, that the way you connected their personal conflict to larger political and cultural dimensions was especially illuminating. And at your age, probably, I think, sir, are you 75 plus, sir? 70?
Pardon me?
Are you
Guess,
70 plus?
Oh, let us play a trick. Can you guess my age?
Must be around 75.
No, 74.
Oh, sir.
74.
Almost accurate, sir.
Yeah, you're very right.
One year.
Yeah.
Sir, your intellectual vigor and command of the subject are truly inspiring. Your talk is a reminder that literature remains ever living when it is engaged with such a sincerity, depth, and passion. Thank you once again for an unforgettable session, sir. And I thank you. I thank all the organizers also for arranging these kind of sessions, which are really extraordinary. Thank you so much.
Sure, you're welcome. My book on Shakespeare is going to come out this week. The title of the book is The Start to Every Wandering Bark. It is a line I have taken from Sonnet 116.
Oh, great, great, sir.
It's coming out from UPL. UPL University Press Limited is very famous, leading publication house in Bangladesh. So in a week, I think, hopefully, it will come out.
Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
I will
Congratulations, sir.
Yeah, I will inform Kodmuni about it.
Sure, sir. Thank you. We will share with our friends also the book.
I have also published my autobiography, a big one, My Life Plus Minus.
So what is the title, sir? Title
My
of your
life,
autobiography?
just a minute. My Life Plus Minus.
Plus and minus, sir. My life plus and minus.
My life, my life plus minus.
My life plus and minus. Oh.
No end. My life plus minus.
Is not plus
no
minus.
end.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Mohit, sir.
Has it already come out, sir, biography?
Pardon me?
Biography, has it already come out?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Okay,
it's already, it has been sold like hotcake. You see, I'm a failure as a writer, but this one has clicked. It's going out like anything. Because people think that I may be a very common, ordinary man, but still, what is the harm knowing about
People are curious to know about your pluses and minuses. So congratulations once again, sir.
Thank you.
So we are fortunate enough to have your session today.
Thank you so much. Beautiful. I like it.
Thank you, Dr. Mohit, sir. Sir, it was a nice presentation by you. I have one question, sir, please. Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear. Where are you from? Which city?
Sir, I am from Maharashtra in India. I am Professor Rosam Prakash Potuguchi.
Which city?
And I'm a Amravati, sir. Amravati in Maharashtra. Just near Nagpur. Near Nagpur.
I see.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir, I have a question.
Yeah.
Cleopatra is often noted for her incredible rhetorical skill and logical manipulation of those around her. To what extent is her passion actually a calculated intellectual strategy to maintain Egyptian sovereignty against Roman expansion.
Yeah. You see, history says that she was a very deft politician underneath, very deft. She did not only entertain Julius Caesar against her brother, her stepbrother, or her brother or her husband, but also when
Yes, sir.
Antony came into Alexandria, the first thing she wanted to do is to protect her kingdom from
Yeah.
the Roman invasion. And
Yes, sir.
she was a very well articulate woman. She knew many languages. She also knew Greek, hieroglyphics, everything she knew. So this is therefore a rare kind of personality which Shakespeare has tried to explain through infinite varieties.
Yes, sir.
So I think in the modern context, Cleopatra would probably be leveled as a femme fatale. Femme
Oh,
fatale, a woman who is capable of destroying men of high reputation. So
yes.
She did it not only with Caesar and Mark Antony. There are stories that even Pompey's son, Sextus Pompey, who appears in the play, with Sextus Pompey, she also wanted to play some kind of, like this kind of game. But Sextus
Oh,
Pompey didn't succumb. So,
oh,
but Antony did. Yeah. So
oh.
your question is a very valid question, and it has been taken up in the modern time studies where it is, all combining. They call it, uh, and they call it all combining studies where politics, literature, society, everything should be considered in giving any opinion on a literary piece. Edward Said, for example, said that I cannot read literature without connecting it with history. And so is the view of Stephen Greenblatt. So I am of that mold. As a student of literature, I actually belong to this kind of thinking where Edward Said, Stephen Greenblatt, they want to prefer a kind of broader spectrum for literature studies. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Very good
Yes.
question.
So,
Very,
thank you. Thank
very,
you very much,
very,
sir. Thank you very much.
very subtle question. Very good.
Thank you.
Sir, 1 minute, sir. Now I request our respected principal, sir, Dr. B.V. Tirupaniam, to deliver the valedictory address because he has a very busy schedule. Now the Polyset examination is going on. So he deliver his message and then okay, we can actually proceed with our own work. Thank you, sir. Welcome, sir. Sir, please unmute it, sir.
Who, me?
No.
Oh,
Very
oh,
good
Our
the,
principal, sir.
the
Yeah.
unmute problem is still existing there.
No, Mohit, sir. Yours is well now.
I
So
will
very
next
good
time.
afternoon, yeah.
Okay.
Very good afternoon. So at the outset, I would like to thank our collaborators, Kalyanjarapar, Government Degree College, Tamil Nadu, and also Venkat Stein for giving us an opportunity to collaborate with you for this 3-day international conference. It's my pleasure to extend my heartfelt thanks to all the research persons. Actually, there were very wide and diversified talks across all this 3-day conference, and hope that all the participants really got the knowledge and the research from the very researchful research persons. In this context, I would like to thank our Department of English, also headed by Dr. Swarnasri Madam and her team, consisting of Ramya and also Rambab Garu, for arranging such a wonderful international conference on a very good theme, aiming at spreading the knowledge of Shakespeare's works, especially centered at power, patriarchy, and also the genders. So
once again, I thank all the participants for evincing keen interest in all these 3-day proceedings. And I request all the participants to take the knowledge from these proceedings and spread across all the students as well as the staff of your respective institutions also. And finally, I thank all the organizers, including our Department of English, for arranging such a wonderful conference. Thank you all.
Sir, thank you very much, sir, for your support and kind words, sir.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for conduct this kind of conference.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, sir. Now,
okay, ma'am. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Dear, if you have any doubts in regard to the topic that actually dealt with Mohit sir, and you can ask him. Sarip sir, are you there? Academic coordinator garu?
I'm here.
No, he may not join you, madam. He is otherwise busy with the examination.
Okay,
entrance
sir,
examination. He may not join. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Okay, now actually I would like to give small closing remarks about this conference. And though we have a lot of hectic schedules, we plan to do this particular thing. It is like a contribution. It is like the re-examination of Shakespeare's works are really, really very relevant to this contemporary world. For that reason, we have actually we have felt that gender, power, patriarchy in regard to women, hashtag MeToo era. So, wait for a moment. Yeah. My daughter is telling that my face is not actually appearing properly, and for that reason, I closed it. So thank you so much. This conference really was jointly organized by the Department of English and PG and Research Department of English, Tirukolanjiappa Government Arts College, Tamil Nadu, with the help of Venkatstein, an Academy of Excellence. Really has done a lot of hard work to make this wonderful program come into a reality. As we have so many constraints, we all actually all's well that ends well. That is actually happened here. And I would like to mention we had 40 papers. Okay, and until now we got 40 papers and 75 presenters from outside the class, outside the college and all. So I would like to first of all thankful to the Commissionerate of Higher Education and Adikavi Nannai University, okay, because for their support and the label that actually they have provided to us, because we are affiliated to Adikavi Nannai University. So for that reason, we would like to thankful to them. And also we would like to respect we have to thank our principal sir and the academic coordinator for their guidance and support. And special thanks to our collaborating institutions, PG and Research Department of English, Tirukolanjiappa Government Arts College, and our associate partner, Venkatstein, and even the resource persons. Actually, they have come with a lot of knowledge and their intellectual deliberations and the way actually they provided innovative methodology and all. That is really very striking. And we really learned so many aspects from them. The very first day onwards, like G. Suvarnalakshmi ma'am and who is a professor of IFLU. She also talked about the women in a critical in a critical thinking fashion. Next, Dr. T. Malati Gabriel, Madam, and Dr. Elham Hussain, Dr. E. Ram Bhaskar Raj Garu, Professor Praveen Kumar Anshuman, and now we have one more respectable professor, Dr. Mohit sir. Really, their sessions really offered us diverse and interdisciplinary insights into Shakespearean studies, gender discourse, and post-colonial perspective and contemporary critical approaches. The organizing committee, including me, we are really expressing our gratitude to all the resource persons for their valuable time, intellectual contributions, and inspiring engagement. And I would like to convey my special thanks to Sri Lakshmi ma'am, and who is also moderator and who is also resource person to the paper presentations time. And we also had 2 rounds. We divided into 2 boards for paper presentations. Madam actually extended her support in a very gripping manner. Thank you so much, ma'am. And I thank all the participants. Really, they gave their soul and hearts. And for that reason, they continuously stayed into the meeting, and really they clarified their doubts, and they also gave their ideas in a proper way. And really, we are very, very thankful to all the audience who are the part of this particular wonderful program. And actually, it became very wonderful because you're all there. Thank you so much. Venkat sir, over to you.
Thank you, madam. Shall I conclude, madam, with vote of thanks for this session?
If anyone actually wanted to ask them to continue and give your feedback, if possible, my dear participants and delegates and resource persons. Madam Sri Lakshmi ma'am, yesterday you engaged the whole thing, and actually you listened to all the presentations. Please give us your feedback, ma'am, about the presentations.
In a nutshell, Sri Lakshmi madam has got the entire information of Shakespeare.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for such a lovely audience. And I'm so glad to have a part in this session. I felt like myself like a literature student in the classrooms of a university. I'm in a university. Not like as a teacher, but as a student. I learned all the participants of board 1 who have given about 13 participations. I love the way the young research scholars are doing, and then I fell in love with the topic, especially Devdas being compared to the various Shakespearean works and the characters. So I just felt like I really miss one of the speakers told that literature is more to the emotions, unlike mathematics and social sciences, sciences, applied sciences. Literature is really the emotional aspect of an individual. I really, of course, I miss being a literature student. We are in the phase of technology and lots of technology modes of teaching. But getting back to Shakespeare and especially paying attention, I couldn't attend the Thursday session because it's a working day here. I couldn't make it, but yesterday and today's sessions are really very meaningful. They have added value to me. Listening to Professor Mohit here. So it's really wonderful. Thank you, Professor Anshuman, Professor Mohit. So I'm really thankful to all of you, all the participants, all the research scholars, and being a moderator for one of the sessions is really a blessing to me, listening to you. So thank you very much.
Ma'am, actually, the word thank you is not enough, but really we are all thankful to you, ma'am. Okay, you gave us a lot of guidance, support every time. Okay, whenever actually we are holding these kind of programs, you're always with us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you. Especially my thanks to Dr. Uppala. He started with Shakespearean women were not silent, but they are silenced. And then it ended with Srujana saying that collective unconscious. I really fell in love. I made so much of notes here, and I have so much. They have given me so much of homework. I am still with the notes here working on how to get into this information. Thanks a lot. Thanks to you. Thanks to Venkat's time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, first
Thank
of
you,
all,
madam.
you are very down to earth, ma'am. Okay, we also have to learn all these things from you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Now we are requesting another moderator, Sir Venkat, sir.
Ma'am,
Please introduce the resource person, I mean the moderator of the board 2.
sir is absent, madam. Sir has not
It's
joined
okay, sir. But you
because
give your feedback about that particular program, sir. Actually, I went to board 1. I witnessed it, and it's really wonderful. And all actually came with their ideas. They presented their ideas in a wonderful manner, and they
yes,
showed that with their
madam.
keen observation, that research and all this. It's really very wonderful, sir.
Yes, madam. So here the
So you can actually
board
comment on
two
board 2, sir.
moderator, Dr. Sarvanan, who is working in Government Degree and PG Center of Tamil Nadu. Even though, as we all know that state elections are going on in Tamil Nadu, the day before he was assigned the election duty. Even though he's busy and hectic schedule and ill health, as he has given his consent to be act as a moderator, he fulfilled his duty. And by time he attended the session, even though a little bit technical glitch of joining the session, which has to be start by 2 o'clock, but unfortunately, just a 15-20 minutes late, it has started, but till the end of all the 23 participants, it has taken up to 5 o'clock. So all the participants have given their meticulous presentation, and all the topics of the presenters are very innovative and unexplored areas where it is very high competitive to each and every presenter when we look into their topics. So not like just it's a copy and paste. I think presenters have shed their sweat and blood to prepare the present paper and devoted their time to make the paper very innovatively, which could not be a copy paste or borrowed from other sources. So the keen observation and listening all the sessions of all the participants in that board and board 2. So it is very innovative, and participants have really contributed themselves to write the papers. They've taken their time, and I think a lot of reference, and they might have burned their midnight oil to complete their paper in an innovative and effective manner. So even though the papers are less, 45, 46, 46 presenters are there, and till now 40 have submitted their papers, and few more papers are waiting to submit. But the quality matters. Instead of the quantity of 70, 80, or 100 papers, but all these submitted papers are very qualitative, and I hope that when it come out of as a book and it reaches into the hands of all the presenters, it will be a beacon or the guide to the further research in the respective departments, in the respective colleges, in the respective universities. Because here all the 40 and 45 who are working in different institutions, it means we have the 45 representations from the different universities, institutions, so that our book will be useful to the people or the research scholars who are going to do research in the a particular Shakespeare or related to the Shakespeare topics or the novels, I really hope that this book will help them to work as a torch bearer, which will be very much helpful for their research. And on behalf of Venkatstein, I thanks to all the people, all the participants, principals of both the institutions, head of the departments, each and every faculty who has contributed a lot to make this program, to make this event a 3-day international conference a mega success. Thank you, Swarna Madam. And thank you, Srilakshmi Madam, also out of your busy schedule and lot of academic work, your devotion and joining from beginning from 10 a.m. to till 1:18 also you are with us. It is really very encouraged to all the scholars, upcoming scholars and the faculty members, academicians to learn from these veteran and learn from the experienced people on this platform. Thank you once again, Madam, for your kind presence on this conference.
The conference has been a meaningful academic endeavor, promoting critical inquiry and collaborative learning. So with this, the organizing committee proudly marks the successful completion of this international conference. So I request all the people, please unmute your faces. Not unmute. What is the right word, ma'am? See, ma'am. We have to open your faces. The screens.
Open your videos.
Yeah.
And here I also request to complete the feedback form. And after the lunch break, the certificates will be shared in the group.
Yeah.
Open
your cameras.
Swarna Madam.
Sir. Give me 1 minute
said,
time and I'll get the photographs. And one of my technical team is doing it.
Swarna Madam, as you said, the certificates are ready. And after the lunch break,
certificates are ready, sir. Please, sir. Thank you, sir. It's really a good job. On behalf of SKVT Government Degree College, my heartfelt thanks to you, sir, Venkat sir, and Venkatstein.
Thank you, madam, for your kind cooperation.
No, sir, you are also actually given us a very good support, sir. And with that reason, we have made it.
It's a collective effort, madam.
Yes, of course.
With all the learned people and all the resource persons, moderators, and experienced people are with us. Let us continue these kind of activities with all the other colleges and the universities also. Let us spread so that we can bridge up the gap in this academics and the research areas.
Yes, sir. I request everybody, please open your cameras and we'll take the photographs. Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Have a good day, sir.
Thank you, madam. Certificates will be shared shortly after the lunch.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, sir. And I request everybody, please
Have a nice day, all of you.
Sir.
Have a nice day, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ravindra sir. Thank you, Ramesh Gegramal sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
There
Thank
are
you
many
all.
youngsters also. Thank you, especially Ravindra sir and Roshan sir, Lalita ma'am, Vijay Lakshmi ma'am.
Thank you all.
So much.
Thank you, madam.
Very active.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, madam. And thank you all.